Hey everybody, Coach here again, this time talking batting mechanics, particularly our initial stance that we get into so that we're ready to hit. It all starts with that stance, and for young kids, particularly in softball and baseball, it's hard to get them to know exactly where to put their feet, where to put their hands, and so they get mixed up and they don't know what to do or where to go. So every time they're doing something differently. The key here is that we want consistency. That's the focus with young kids, is to get them into doing the same thing every time they come up to bat, right? That's where they're going to start to build those skills. If they're not consistent with what they're doing, they're going to be all over the place and they're never going to develop those skills they need. So the first and most important thing with batting is to get them into a stance consistently every time. So here's some little tips and tricks that I use when I'm coaching young kids. First one is, with our stance, we want our stance to be slightly wider than our shoulders. This is really important for young kids, to get their feet and their base strong, right? So wider than their shoulders. That's the best way to go about doing this, okay? The second piece is that their toes should be facing towards the plate. The plate is here, my toes are facing here. You'll see a lot of kids with their feet doing this like a penguin, okay? Sometimes they'll overextend, they'll be way in like this. We want it to be in a comfortable spot with our toes facing slightly in, all right? That's the best spot. I'm most athletic and powerful here. If you think about it, it's a lot like our defensive stance that we take as well when we're fielding ground balls. So our feet wider than our shoulders, toes pointing in slightly. The next step in this stance is that we want to get their hands and their bat resting on their shoulder. Not down in here, not way up in here, but my hands directly in front of where my heart would be. Right in here, my bat is on my shoulder. Okay, that's the big step. I always call that step one, okay, the stance. Getting here, my feet are in the right spot, my bat is on my shoulder. We're not gonna hit from this stance. This is our initial stance to get kids to do it every time the same way. The second step in this process is to then what we call load, all right? Now, as you get older, you actually load as the ball is coming at you. But with young kids, we want them to preload or to be ready because it's too many moving things once the pitch is coming. So what we mean by load is that I'm gonna be here, I'm in my stance spot. To load, I'm gonna bend my knees slightly, I'm gonna lean back a little bit, and I'm gonna lift my hands up off my shoulder. One of the tricks to think about is to have them think about putting the thumb in their ear. A lot of kids will then immediately do that. No, we just want it nearby, right? But I'm here, and as I'm loading, so we tell them stance, load means to bend my knees, lean back, and lift my hands up off my shoulder. All right, that's the next step in this process. The third step then is to then actually hit the ball, right? So I'm here, I'm telling them stance, I'm telling them to load, and they're right in here. Now, my third step then is see ball, hit ball, right? And I'm taking my cut through. The more that we can get kids into the proper stance every time, the easier it's going to be for them to develop those skills, the easier it is for them to hit the ball consistently every time. So we really want to think about those three steps. Stance, so they check in their feet, making sure they're shoulder width, putting my bat here, my hands in front of my heart, my bat on my shoulder. Second step is load, so I'm bending my knees, I'm leaning back, and then I'm lifting my hands in here. Third step is to see ball, hit ball, okay? Those are the three steps. Get those stances set and keep it to 3 steps. Not 7 steps, not 9 steps. It's too much for young kids to remember. 3 simple steps I gotta follow. 3 steps, and I'm gonna crush the ball, all right? So, good luck with this one, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.